Okay. You can share with me. No. All right, what's up, everyone? Dave Dudley here, and yes, we're going to be talking about my Angler of the Year chase, which we ended up accomplishing. I know a lot of you guys have been following me along in the YouTube channel, watching actually practice videos, going into the tournament videos, going into day 1, day 2. What?
How many? This had any viewers?
No.
It's really delayed. Alright, cool.
Try it again.
Keep talking? Yeah.
Alright, are we good? Alright, so I start over again? Alright guys, welcome. We're still learning with this YouTube thing, so I appreciate you guys chiming in. So what is today's topic? Definitely today's topic is going to be the Angler of the Year chase. You guys had started from, when was it? And as a matter of fact, we got Cohen, the quarter boy here, if you can see him. Alright, quarter boy's here with me. But we started with San Rayburn, and I'm going to break down lake by lake, okay, guys? I'm going to go what decisions I thought I did right in some of these and what decisions I think I could have done better. It's, anytime you are chasing a goal or whatever it is, you're going to have reflection time. You're going to have times when you think that you could have done something better. What is it, not right? Huh? Keep going. Oh, you're putting up the thing. So, anyways, we're just learning all about this YouTube live stuff. So, today, yes, we're going to break down the Angler of the Year chase. And we just finished up here at Champlain, so if you're watching this, it was actually a tight race. Me and John Cox were 1 point separation going into this last tournament, and 1 point is really just dust in the bowl. When you're talking an Angler of the Year race, 1 point is nothing. And being here at Champlain, I really was nervous. And I'm going to talk about that here in a little while, but I'm just kind of setting the stage that at the end of the year, heading into Champlain, it was going to be a tight race. And I knew John he wasn't going to slip up, and a lot of people wasn't going to slip up. So I see a lot of my regulars on here. What's up, Dave, Levi, Anthony, William, Scott. Let's see, Carlton, Tony, Will, Mike G, Jason. A lot of you guys are always on here. Kelty, yes, what's up? Ryan, I appreciate you guys, all your congratulations. So here we go. We got started off. What was the first one? San Rayburn, okay. San Rayburn. San Rayburn was a tournament that going into the tournament, I gotta remember now. Going into this tournament, I remember practice being a okay practice, and I remember finding like one hole, okay. And the struggle there was I knew I had one hole, and anytime you find a spot that's got a lot of fish on it, you're always nervous about boat draws. You're always nervous about, did somebody else find them? You're always nervous about the time that you found them, whether or not it was going to be within the tournament timeline that you could fish it. And that tournament is probably one of the most, out of the 7 tournaments, was probably one of the most fortunate tournaments that I got through. So San Rayburn was high. If you haven't seen that video, make sure you go back and watch the video. But the water was really high. Fish were spread out. But the crazy thing about it is they didn't rush to the bushes. They didn't go straight into bushes. They were staying in these ditches and these drains. And I remember one key fish. It's funny now that I'm reflecting back on the tournament. I was actually throwing a Carolina rig, and rules state, of course, if you're sight fishing for a bass, then you can't snag, the fish. But I was throwing a Carolina rig out in whatever 15, 20 foot of water, and I got a bite, and I caught an 8-pounder actually in her butthole on a Carolina rig. So that tournament, you can go back and watch that video. That was kind of a crazy fish catch there. So without that 8-pounder, of course, naturally, I probably wouldn't have been where I was at for that day. So what was the next one?
Lake Toho.
Thumbs up. Oh. What's that? Huh? Just. Oh, yeah. My son, if you guys are enjoying this, it does help my channel grow. If you do hit the thumbs up, guys, I know, we ask y'all to do it all the time. But if you can, hit the thumbs up and share these videos if you can. So anyways, where were we at?
Toho.
Oh, we went to Lake Toho next. Oh, yeah. Lake Toho. All right, so here's Lake Toho for you in a breakdown. Anytime you're fishing Florida lakes, Florida lakes can be a tough lake because they rattle your nerves, okay? And when I say rattle your nerves, I mean like truly you can be around the biggest group of bass in Florida, and until it hits 1 o'clock, those Florida bass are like, I'm not eating. And what happens is in Florida waters is it throws you for a curveball. Like it rattles your nerves so bad, because even though in practice you're like, I know I'm around fish, I know I'm around the winning fish, and they're not biting. And I just remember in that tournament, from years of experience, I kept saying, stay here, David, just stay here. You know they're here. Be patient. They're going to bite. And I think I had a limit, a fairly small limit early. And that one day I just kept being patient. And I made one more pass back around, and I caught like I don't remember at the time, but you guys watched the video. It was like an 8 and a 5 and a 4, blah, blah. I don't know what I did, but I come in with like 20-something pounds that turn, a high 20 bag, 23, 24 pounds or something, and that set the stage for the rest of the week. And I got to credit years of experience of fishing Florida waters that didn't allow me to get rattled. It didn't allow me to get my nerves shaken, because I had to have confidence to stay in an area and know that they were there. You can't do that on every lake, okay? Don't take what I'm saying now and think that you can be like, Dudley says to be patient if I know where fish are at. I can say that about Florida waters, but I'm not going to say that when you leave the state of Florida. Those Florida fish are just, if you probably asked most professional fishermen and said, hey, what is the most feared state that you fish? Without interviewing all these guys, I could almost tell you that Florida is probably, 75% of the field would fear Florida. It's such a roller coaster ride. It's such a roller coaster of emotions. So second stop, I allowed my emotions not to get rattled. I was patient. It paid off, and I had a good finish there. Good gosh, John Gilbert, man, I appreciate that. Don't think I just caught that out of the corner of my eye. I appreciate that, John. That does mean a lot in helping this channel grow. I appreciate you, John. That was nice of you, John. So where was stop 3?
Stop 3 was Lake Seminole.
Lake Seminole. This is one that I just want to punch in just knock the dam out of. I don't know. That lake got me. And if I was to say anything about Lake Seminole, it would have probably been that I didn't venture around in that lake much. I didn't look at the whole lake. I went to a few areas and tried to spend my time. I knew fishing was going to be tough, and I actually found some sight fishing areas, and I had some on the bed. And the first day, I think you guys saw me go in there, and there was quite a few boats in there, because there wasn't many areas that you could really, buckle down and sight fish. And there was a lot of people in that area. And this is where I just got through. And Lake Seminole is kind of on the border of Florida. And this is one of those lakes where I wasn't patient enough. I started in a good area that I could have had a good bag the first day if I would have been patient. And I don't like really fishing around crowds. I feel that I'm a good sight fisherman, and there was some other fishermen in there, and I didn't want to get in a game of, cat and mouse, like cutting this guy off and cutting this guy off, and doing this thing where you're like, you want to be respectful, but you don't want to be like 60 yards in front of him when he's headed this way and cutting. I just hate it. My nerves and my stress get rattled. And I think I could have had a big bag that first day, but my mistake was not in practice, not exploring around enough. There was one area of that lake that pretty much had the most of the fish in it, and they've had a big fish kill there at Seminole. And what fish were ganged up was in one area of the lake, and I actually broke my limit streak. Brian Thrift broke his limit. A lot of people broke their limit streak there.
Lake Seminole, right? That's where Brian Latimer won.
Yeah, Brian Latimer ended up winning it. I think we all can give thumbs up on that one. But yeah, Brian Latimer was was definitely in the right area, because he won it. But there was another area of the lake that had lots of fish, and they were just, that's where they're at. So if I could fault myself, I think was that my worst tournament of the year?
Can check the stats.
All right, guys. While he's checking the stats, y'all see these hats right here? Come on, man. We got them in 3 different colors. They have arrived. We got black and gray. We got gray and white, and we got khaki and white. Who wants one of these hats? They are available now. Available. So here we go. What was the stats on that? I actually broke my limit streak. Thrift. Anyways, a lot of us broke our limit streak there. So I ended up only having 4 fish one day, and I really thought then, I knew I had done decent the first 2 tournaments, but then as the tournaments kept going on, that tournament, and I don't even know where I finished. I don't even know if I got a check. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But I think that was my worst tournament of the year.
Yeah.
And, reflection on that was not exploring the whole lake.
74.
Ooh, I won Angler of the Year with a 74th place finish.
John Cox got pretty high. He got higher than you.
Yeah.
But he didn't do too good either.
John
51st.
John did average. I think a lot of us fell there. So, in other words, that was a thorn in my side on that lake. But
yeah, there was big names down in the 40s, 50s.
in the 40s, a lot of big names. Thrift, me, Cox.
Yeah.
Scott Martin did really well there.
Yeah, he did 6.
He did
6.
Scott Martin got 6 there.
Latimer was the one who
Latimer, of course, won it. So what was the tournament after Seminole?
Shoot. I had my stats pulled up, man, but I lost my place. Seminole Grand.
Grand Lake. Oh my gosh. All right, so Grand Lake. All right, if any of you guys have watched that video, you probably saw fear in so many people's eyes. Or like if you watch, I know Scott Martin does some videos, Brian Latimer does some videos, I do some videos. That tournament really did put a lot of fear in us guys. I mean, it was like when you hear us saying, you're sandbagging, I didn't, I'm not catching them. Guys, it really was that tough. We really was not catching them. I mean, it was going out, and my wife had said she's only heard fear in my voice one time, and I ended up winning the tournament at Beaver Lake in Arkansas. And I was struggling in practice. She goes, man, I didn't tell you till after the tournament, but that's the first time, she goes, I've ever heard fear in your voice. And I ended up winning that tournament. And this next tournament, I mean, I truly was scared, man. I was like, I don't even know if I can catch a fish, much as a limit of fish.
How'd you do there?
I don't know.
remember?
How did I do there? I'm evidently I did okay. I remember saying this, and I want to tell you guys this. If you know a tournament is going to be really tough, like, so you go around and practice, and you're like, you catch a few in this area, you catch a few in this area, and you're like, you feel like you can put together a limit, you feel like you can put together a pattern, but there's times when you are fishing area after area after area and you're not getting bit. That's when you need to decide to hunker down in an area. That's when you need to decide, hey, fishing is really tough. I don't need to run around as much. I can't, no matter where I'm going, I can't get bit. The best thing to do is to stay in an area. And at Grand Lake is where I got a few bites in an area in one day. And when I say a few bites, listen to this. I think I caught one on a dock and one ran, like, within 5 minutes, I caught 3 fish and been fishing for like 10 hours and hadn't caught nothing. And I said, you know what, if I have to try to catch those 3 fish again or whatever. So that tournament I elected to stay in an area, and I actually made some pretty key adjustments then. You guys, if you go back and watch that video, even though it was a tough tournament, in my videos, I always try to explain what's going through my head. And I remember one key moment of that, and it was pretty cool, is that I was throwing a white spinnerbait. Now, there's different colors of white, okay? You got that bold white, and then you got like translucent whites, and it was really cloudy, and I was throwing a really bold white. Man, look what Mason, Miss Boochie made. Look what we just got made here. Who wants one of these? Let me see. This one's got the most chocolate chips in it. Quarter boy. I ain't going for just one. I'm going for a bunch. So,
You placed
anyways.
25th.
At where?
Grand Lake.
At Grand Lake. So I placed 25th at Grand Lake. And I hunkered down in an area. I was throwing that white spinnerbait, and it was a bold white, and then I had a translucent white. So it was really cloudy. And then all of a sudden, the sun kind of come out. I quit getting bit. I ended up putting a translucent white skirt on, and it was like bam, bam, bam. And that one key adjustment, I'm thinking back over my year, and everything's starting to come back to me, of these little changes, these little things, these things that you kind of overlook, but that one key adjustment ended up getting me a limit, and I ended up making the cut, advancing, and on a tough tournament. So that was, now that I'm thinking about it, I remember I'm actually proud of that adjustment, proud of that tournament, because that really was one of the best ones. All right.
Next lake?
Let's see. Next lake is what?
Cherokee.
Lake Cherokee. All right.
And you placed 12th.
Lake Cherokee. I'm trying to remember what the heck I did there.
And you fished so much.
Oh!
You fished too much.
Oh my gosh. Alright. Lake Cherokee was that smallmouth tournament. And you guys, this is about the time of year when my wacky worm just starts coming back into play. And Lake Cherokee, oh, that was another tournament. I'll tell y'all this. Talking about colors again, I remember that tournament now. And part of that, get off my cookies, Quarter Boy. And my cookies. Look at that. Quarter Boy just stole some of my cookies. Lake Cherokee was a pretty cool tournament. So they were coming up spawning. They were getting aggressive. You know, they were really aggressive on the bed. Smallmouth typically are. And when I got there, I struggled a little bit the first day, and then once I found out that they were spawning, and I picked up my whacking worm. So here was a cool adjustment, and I'm going to tell you something that I got pissed off about, mad. And I'm mad, you know, I got mad at myself. So I was throwing a bubblegum wacky worm, and you guys know I'm a wacky worm nut, and I was throwing bubblegum just so I could see it and see where I was casting. And because it was dark that day, and dude, they were smoking that bubblegum wacky worm. And so in the tournament, I think we were faced, one of the days we had some rain and whatever. And I remember catching quite a few that morning on a bubblegum, and I hit a lull. And I turned around and I picked up a natural color wacky worm, and it was like night and day. And that was, again, that's 2 tournaments in a row where people are like, color don't make a difference, but it truly does. And if you don't pick up on that kind of stuff early on, like pick up, like if I would have waited 2 more hours and kept sticking with that bubble gum instead of instinctually changing to a natural color, a wacky worm, then outcome could have been different. But I can tell you this is where I'm mad at myself. We just got through here at Lake Champlain, and this is how I can reflect on this even within myself. So where I got mad at myself was this. I was mad because there was a few times I lost some, you know, I throw over there, dunk, I get a bite, I get him, oh man, he got off. And I just keep fishing on. Like, you know, it never, even though I knew they were spawning, I watched some of the FLW live, and I watched these people lose one or hear, you know, I caught him Sunday, and I lost him 4 times yesterday, and I finally caught him the 5th time. And I'm like, you big dummy, why didn't you just hit spot lock on your trolling motor and turn around? You know, I just would be like, oh, he got off. And I'd be like, oh, darn it. Well, you know, he got off. And Jacob Prosnick was calling me during a live. Ignore. We'll call you back. But I kept going. I kept going on instead of going back and fishing for him. So luckily, I did win Angler of the Year this year, but a big mistake on my end. When I went back and watched the FLW live and watched people catch them again, I just was really mad at myself for not doing that, and I actually, you know, could have cost me Angler of the Year. So that was Lake Cherokee. What's our next lake?
Lake Chickamauga? I don't know how to pronounce that.
Oh, they're gonna blast me on this one. Lake Chickamauga, Chickamauga, I don't know how you guys say it, but I call it Lake Chickamauga.
Number 5.
This is stop number 5. And
that's where you placed, I think. Place 5th.
Lake Chickamauga, what was after Chickamauga? We skipped one.
Did we? Grand,
Cherokee,
Chickamauga,
and what's after Chickamauga?
Champlain.
We have 7 tournaments.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7.
Which one did we skip?
We got Champlain,
Toho.
Seminole, Grand. Did we talk about
Mm-hmm.
Grand? Cherokee,
Mm-hmm.
Chickamauga. This is the 6th.
6.
Yeah. 6th.
Poor
and
boy
you placed
can't
5th.
count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Poor boy, can we get that done?
I'm counting. I'm getting there. I'm learning.
He's learning. All right. Sorry for that delay. So, Lake Chickamauga, right in my wheelhouse, guys. Right in my wheel. And when it gets May, and I can throw that darn wacky worm, it is right in my wheelhouse. And so basically, what do I do that time of year? I'm going shallow. I'm going to go shallow, and I'm going to try to find as many fish as I can. Now, whether that means looking for them with my eyes, sight fishing for them, I typically head to clean water, wherever clean water's at. And I just try to cover as much water as I can. But Lake Chickamauga, let's talk about that. What are my feelings about that tournament? Well, there was a couple key fish. And any of the angler years that I've ever won, there's always been a couple key fish throughout the course of the year. And if you go back and watch, so I've mentioned one catching that 8-pounder in the belly on a Carolina rig. This is going to be another one. It was day 3. And basic guys, I'm day 1, day 2, throwing a wacky worm. Actually throw the bladed bait some. And I went to an area. Oh, I know what it was. I remember. I'm sorry. You guys deal with it. I got to rewind all this kind of stuff in my head. I was throwing a swim jig, not a bladed bait. I went to an area, started on in the morning. I found some fish that were out in front of the bushes, or, it's just object. It was some grass out there. And actually, I found some of those fish the second day of the tournament. I was like, well, I'm going to start on the third day. Well, I go and start on them the third day, and there was a couple other boats there. I caught one nice fish, and the shad were spawning that time of year. And I remember hearing, and this is kind of dumb, I remember hearing poosh. I kept thinking they were carp spawning on the bank, and I kept ignoring it. Well, I finally trolling motored over there, and when I went over there, the shad spawn was going on, and those busts I heard was not carp. They were actually bass, and it's the 8-pounder that you guys saw me catch at that tournament, and it was a big cedar tree in the laying over the water, right on a point. It was textbook magazine, FLW magazine talk. And I took a swim jig and I hopped it through there, and then my line went limp. Like, I didn't see her bite it, but it was just, boom, my line went limp. I set the hook, and it was like an 8-pounder. The rest of the day, I didn't catch nothing. So I go back, and if you think about it, without that 8-pounder, I had some 2.5s or something to go with it, but I didn't have any more big fish to go with it. I survived and ended up getting into day 4 because of that 8-pounder. Now, day 4 is when I made a critical change and a critical moment, is it not? What's that?
Keep going.
Thumbs up?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Oh, Put 'em Down. Oh, I just seen that. Put 'em Down Productions. I love that name. I love his picture, dude. Just donated $20, dude. I appreciate that. Put 'em Down Productions. Yeah. I'm going to check him out. I know I have. I remember. I've been talking to him some. Put 'em Down Productions. I appreciate that. So anyways, I got, when I did do it, okay, I made it into day 4. Now, here's a key moment, okay? Key moments, if you reflect back, and I'm looking back, key moments was this. I went shallow. And anytime you're in late May, and you're catching fish shallow, they're not necessarily going to reproduce. And what I mean by that is, if I'm in early April, say April, or beginning of the spawn, whatever area you're at, then there's going to be some fish coming up. But when you're on the backslide, you're on the back end of a spawn, those fish necessarily aren't going. So you better have a lot of areas that you can go to that's virgin. I don't like fishing behind myself in May or June, because I feel like that if I go through an area, I'm going to catch the majority of the fish that are available in that area. So for me to go behind myself, so day 4, I knew I had to make an adjustment, and I had one little spot that I knew about, and actually found that spot in November the previous year. I went to a sponsor event, and we were fishing there, and we actually nicknamed it the Pizza Hole. Mark Schlarb will know about that. The Pizza Hole, because we went and got a pizza, and we were idling out, and as we were idling out eating pizza in November, the fish started busting. I remembered about it, and when we were there in May, they actually come back, and uh, that's where I ended up catching them. So day 4, oh me, Woody Bear, man, I appreciate that with Josh. Oh man, Gillesthrope. I probably butchered that, Josh. Guys, I really do. Good gosh, Sheen Clark, guys, I really do appreciate y'all supporting this channel, because I'm I'm going in the hole doing this channel, and I'm going to give it a year. And whether you believe it or not, this support you guys are giving me is encouraging me to keep going with this channel. So, guys, I really do appreciate you guys doing this. So, either way, so we nicknamed it the Pizza Hole, and what it was it was a rock patch out on a flat, and these fish were just loaded up on it. I took a crankbait and did really well. Advanced myself a few more. It got myself up a few more points, and ended up doing getting a good finish there. Now that was at Lake Chickamauga. So now here we go to Lake Champlain, and get this, guys. Like, this is pretty cool. So Lake Champlain, me and John are 1 point apart, and being 1 point apart coming into Champlain is basically, it's a tie ball game. And I know that in any time that you're at a lake where 1 pound is 25 places, was I nervous going into this event? Absolutely. I mean, I was truly nervous going into this event. And one of the things that I tried to play over in my head over and over and over again was I knew John was going to advance, but I knew I needed to set up myself for at least 3 days. And the only way I knew to advance myself securely for 3 days was to sight fish. Whenever you're fishing, it's always a mystery. So what I mean by that is you throw out there, and when you throw out there, you set the hook, and you're always like, man, I hope it's a big one. I hope it's a big one. Where if you're sight fishing, then you kind of know, hey, there's a 3.5 here, there's a 4 pounder here, there's a whatever here, and I felt my chances of securing a decent bag every day was through sight fishing. There's another one that just came in, Kenneth Mahal. Man, I'm butchering it up, Kenneth. I truly am sorry, but I appreciate it. You guys have been so awesome to me. So I actually said the only way I could secure Angler of the Year and feel like I could secure it is to go and look for these sight fish. So, guys, the practice video just came out Monday, and we're going to release the videos for this tournament, my Angler of the Year chase. We're going to release videos, I think, coming up Thursday, Saturday, and Monday. The videos are coming up. But here's what's cool. I went and had quite a few marked in on my GPS. And no matter how locked in, and I want to warn you guys about this, no matter how locked in you think you are in practice, you always need to keep an open mind. Always got to keep an open mind. And the reason I say that is because I was actually going around, and during the tournament, day 1, and I was looking, and I had some marked in on my GPS, whatever. Like, I had it marked in on my GPS, like a 3.5 pounder. And as I'm easing up to this 3.5 pounder that I thought was 3.5 pounds, I threw out there, caught her like first cast. I weigh her, she's like 3.4. Well, a 3 pound, 4 ounce smallmouth on Lake Champlain is like nothing. Like, that's literally like nothing. So, I caught her, weighed her. So I'm drifting around. And I had another one about 100 yards away. So as I'm going over to this other one, I look down, and I'm like, Merry Christmas to me. I mean, Merry Christmas. There's Anyways, I see another one on the bed. So I throw down there, catch it. This one's 3 3/4 pounds. So my next time, I go over to this fish that I thought I had marked in as a big one. I go over there and catch that one. It's like a 3-pounder. So as I'm moving to go to another one, I look down and I'm like, Merry Christmas to me again. There's another good one. I catch that one. That one's like 3.5 pounds. So at that moment, no matter how dialed in and matter how what I thought I had locked in practice, I immediately said, everything that I got in my GPS right now, I can save that. Even though I don't know what they are, I need to start looking for new ones. Maybe some new ones moved up. Maybe they didn't. Maybe I just didn't see them. So then I started looking around. And next thing I know, one here, one there. Oh. I'm not telling the whole story. All right, so let me go back a little bit. Okay, and you guys will see this in the video. But let me go back a little bit. Day one, and typically I sleep good through anything. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm going to sleep good through anything. But day one, in practice, you saw I had a really good day fishing for largemouth. And I'm talking an 18-plus pound bag in like 2 hours. That's really good for this lake, you know. So all night I'm fighting in my head, should I largemouth, smallmouth, largemouth, largemouth, smallmouth. You guys have seen in the video where I would tease myself with those voices in your head. So I couldn't decide what I wanted to fish for. So anyways, the largemouth side won the battle, and I started off on largemouth. Didn't do nothing. It's 10:30, Angler of the Year on the line, and I have 2 fish in the live well that are like 2 pounds. Jason's a big supporter of the channel. I appreciate it, Jason. You're always awesome on your comments. I appreciate your support, Jason. I really do. I appreciate that. So I went to largemouth, had 2 fish at 10:30, went to my smallmouth that I just got through telling you about, and then I look down and find 2 Christmas presents. I catch those, and I make an adjustment. I make a choice, and I say, hey, if I could find 2, the weather was right, the water was slick, the sun was up. I went looking, and in like 3 hours, I caught 19 pounds, 3 ounces. That was day 1. Day 2, I did basically the same thing. I went to an area, a brand new area. I never went back to the area that I caught 19 pounds on. Went to a brand new area and ended up catching 17 pounds, which was enough to advance me into day 3. Now, me and John, I overtook him on day 1. John had a great bag. He had a good bag for this lake too, but I had an exceptional bag the first day. So I gained 20 points on him. And then the second day, John actually advanced too. And so the AOI race was going into day 4. And when we went into day 3, and when we went into day 3, I only had an 18-point lead. Now, here's where the collar starts choking up on you, right? This is when you guys have been there. A lot of you guys are tournament anglers. You know, you're starting to feel the pressure. So I knew I had a 1 pound, 14 ounce lead over John. And at this lake, that's a pretty big lead to have over somebody. So I knew if I could catch 17 pounds, John would have to basically have a 20-pound bag. Which, if he would have caught 20 pounds, I would have, heck yeah, you deserve it. But, so day 3, now listen. So I went to the 19-pound area and caught 19 pounds. Didn't even go back there never even went near there the second day. Went to another area, and the fish that I had found on my GPS, you guys heard me talk about it, where I left them alone the first day. You had to have confidence. You had to have, nerves of steel to abandon everything you got and go looking, practicing during the first day. And while I practiced, I also marked in some on day 1 of the tournament, day 1 practicing and fishing the tournament, which in return come back to support me on day 3. Isn't that crazy? So day 3 was a supported effort of day 1 of practice and what I had found. Now, day 3, I end up winning Angler of the Year. Okay, that was like that, and that was of course my 4th Angler of the Year. You guys that follow me, you know that. So I'm like, oh man, that's cool. But I moved up to like 6th place, and now I'm thinking, well, darn, I might have a chance to win the tournament. But I got to looking at the standings, and I'm 3 pounds behind. So then that struggle came back in: largemouth, smallmouth, largemouth, smallmouth. I couldn't, I couldn't, uh, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do or how I wanted to do it. And hindsight 2020, all the big bags come largemouth. I elected to go for smallmouth because I ended up catching 2 4-pounders day 3, which was a monumental decision. And you guys will see this in my video. I had been sight fishing. So of the 20 bass that I weighed in this tournament, 18 come looking at them, and 20 came. 18 were looking. 2 of them come fishing. And one of the biggest things that I could have done is I picked up a swim bait and caught 2 4-pounders at the end of the day.
And that was on live too. That was
Yeah.
on FLW Live.
Quarter Boy was just reminding me that was on live. He actually got,
it the whole time.
he got to watch it. So when I reflect back on my Angler of the Year, I'm like, holy crap! That moment that I did that was big time, like big time decision. And I know a lot of you guys asked, fishing is not always about catching fish. And I think if you've listened throughout this journey right here, it's not always about catching fish. It's about the change of color when I watched it go from sunny to cloudy, or it was deciding to stay in an area, or like this one, it was picking up a bait that I haven't thrown. I never threw a cast on it, tied it up the night before, still never made a cast about it until I thought conditions were right, picked it up at 2 o'clock and caught 2 4-pounders. That's what catapult, whether you're fishing club tournaments, Costa divisions, even on the tour. I know some of you guys are probably watching this too, but that's what catapults you to another league. That's what catapults you to from going from an average angler to an excelled angler. And I'm not saying I'm the best in the world, but I'm just, I go back and look, and I'm talking out loud. I'm thinking in my head, wow, that was a cool moment then. Like, that was like, I've given myself an A+. I know it sounds weird, but to go from that skirt being a bold white to a translucent white and go boom, 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 catch 3 right away, I'm wanting to fist pump myself. Like, that was cool, man. That was like, wow, that was a big decision. And it's not that you guys didn't know to throw a spinnerbait. It's not that you guys didn't know to throw a Ned head or a swim bait, but it's making the right decisions when you're on the water. And here's one thing you can't do. The one thing in life you cannot teach. I'm actually going to wait for a second, and I'm going to answer a bunch of you guys' questions. We're going to open this up here in just a little bit. We're almost through with Champlain. So I'm going to open. I haven't been reading y'all's questions. I've been glancing at them. But here in a few minutes, I'm going to open it back up to you guys. And you guys can fire away with your questions and talk. And I know that quite a few people donated in this event. So hopefully you guys will come to the top on the chat room. I'll definitely answer your question. But the one thing in life you cannot teach, okay, guys, you cannot teach this, is you cannot teach instinct, okay? You can't. You can try to instruct somebody, but instinct is unteachable. it's instinct is taking the knowledge that you have and applying it when you see fit for it to apply. And I can't help people get to that next level. Like say if I'm in the boat with you, I actually offer coaching trips where I actually in the boat with you, and we go out there and we if you go to my website daviddudley.com, you can read about the coaching trips that I offer. And there's actually 8 people on national level tours that I'm coaching right now. I'll never say names, but there's 8 people on tour that I'm coaching, and I've been able to watch them grow and come to the next level, which has been pretty cool. But anyways, instincts is something that's not teachable, but is obtainable by getting knowledge. So let's get back to Champlain. So day 4, okay, day 4, I had the decision largemouth, smallmouth, and I'm still mad at myself after watching all these big largemouth come in. Day 4, I elected to go to a smallmouth. And get this is pretty cool. I actually cashed in, and when I say cashed in, that's kind of weird. I cashed in on some GPS fish from still left over from day 1. So if you look back at my Champlain accomplishment, it was, managing what I had. I may not have been on the most fish in this tournament, but it was managing what I had at the moment to carry me through to day 4. You don't always have to be on the biggest group of fish to win. Understand that. You don't have to be on the biggest, catching them every cast. You can be on the least amount of fish and still come away with a win. And I think at this tournament here at Champlain, I was on the least amount of fish. Not the least. I mean, I was on some fish, but not enough to win. But I managed them good enough to carry me through to a 7th place finish, to conquer AOI, which was my 4th title, and come away with, a fat paycheck. So that was kind of my journey. And we got the FLW championship coming up.
At Lake Hamilton.
Lake Hamilton, that's going to be a hot one,
Arkansas.
for sure.
Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Yep.
How'd you do last year? Do you
Well, Ouachita, I did well. I've always done well at Lake Ouachita. But, guys, don't forget to give the thumbs up. My son just reminded me, the only way this channel can grow is with you guys' thumbs up. We're getting ready to open this up to open discussion. So I know you guys love it when I open this up to open discussion. Last time I did it, we didn't get that many views on it, but I heard more chatter about it. So if you go back, what did we title that, Mason? What did we title that? Oh, it was Chasing My AOI or something.
Yeah, Chasing, I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Chasing AOI.
Okay, there's a video. If you're enjoying this, there's a video. I think we only got like 1,700 views on it right now, but these long videos, people don't like them as much. I reckon they got a short attention span and I run my mouth too much. But if you go back and watch that one, I actually do answer a lot of crazy questions that you guys. So we're going to open that up. So so now the only tournament left now is the tournament for the FLW championship, which is going to be at Lake Hamilton in Arkansas, which will be there in about 5 months. It's going to be blazing hot, humidity, blah, 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 blah. It's just going to be a tough time of the year. What I'm going to be doing there, I have no idea. Know nothing about the lake. Never made a cast on the lake. I'm going to actually, the only tournaments I ever pre-fished for in my life is
Weren't we there last year?
No, we were there, but we were fishing Lake Ouachita. We rented a house on it, so I've never actually fished there. So those videos will be coming up. We actually I'm working on this one comedy video, and I'm going to tell. Oh, dude. Hey, this is going to be epic. Like, like, this is going to be really epic, okay? So, anyways, that was my breakdown of the lake. So, we're going to open this up. So, you just heard me break down lake by lake by lake. Some thoughts that I did good, some thoughts that are big bad. So, here we go. Open it up. I'm going to start reading these and see if I can answer some of these questions. We're going to do about maybe a 10-minute, get off my cookies, quarter boy. We're going to do about a 10-minute questions. So, this is like delayed. Every time I look at something, it's like delayed. All right. Let's see here. Here we go. Joshua Lee's a big supporter. What's your favorite food to eat on the water? And what are you going to eat on Lake Hamilton? Joshua asks. Kyle, he always makes a mean. Kyle Weisenberger always makes a mean, typically turkey sandwich and all that. And then when I get tired of that, we go to the poor man's steak sandwich, which is peanut butter and jelly. I ate a lot of the poor man's steak sandwiches. I ate them day 3. I got a lot of tuna, sardines in my boat. I like white Gatorades. Ricky Dudley, I got to answer him. That's my brother. Can I have a cookie? No, you can't. You can't have a cookie. All right, so here we go. Pink walking bait, day 3 live. What brand? Custom paint. I don't think I had one. That Put 'em Down Production says, what is the biggest deer you have? Can't say that word much on YouTube, but I got your point. Maybe like a 125, 130. I've never scored them, but I don't think I've killed anything over 150. Ooh, I said the word. Dadgummit.
Sinner.
I know. Let's see. When will you know what you're doing next year? I have no idea, Pickleville. Have no idea. Yeah.
That's a cool name.
Got one bait. Thank you for sharing. It helps. So got one baits company. He actually caught a lot of fish on his crawdads. He makes some good baits. He don't sponsor me. He don't even know. I've never shaken his hand. I've just ordered them online. Got one bait company. Here we go. North of 7. Here we go. Appreciate the support. What are your 2 spinning reel combos? Well, like a Stratic and Revo Premier. What are the rods? The rods are Proficiency rods. 7.2 medium heavy. And I'm coming out with my signature series here soon. My reels right now, North 7 of Outdoors. My reels are kind of all, I got a buffet of reels. So I do like my spinning reels to be at least 6:3 gear ratio. But it's 7.2 Proficiency rods, medium heavy. Sherry asked, what Ned head? I'd probably throw a Ned head and a drop shot, mainly on, let's see, Scott Housewright, Lake Hammer will be a green fish one. Jason Deal, let's see, come down to Boca Grande, Florida, and we'll do some. Hey, Jason, seriously, hit me up on message board. I truly am coming down for a week and a half. Hit me up on messaging. I really will probably take you up on that. We're going to be down there for a while, in about a week. Hamilton asked, what species, or, it depends on the lake. Just like this one, we knew we had largemouth and smallmouth. Typically, it takes a mix here to win. But in this one, he dominated with largemouth. You never know, but you have to just do the lakes. Aaron asked, when you go to a new lake, what are the top 3 baits you've always has rigged up? Wacky worm, number 1. Some type of crankbait would be number 2, and pretty much a Ned head or Nico rig. I know that was 4. Put 'em Down Productions says, what do you enjoy fishing for more? Definitely smallmouth. Josh, all right, yeah, Josh, yeah. You need to come down on some costs for your coaching trips. I'm poor. Yeah, it is expensive, but I did a video where within a day of going on me with a coaching trip, uh, I've seen what it can do. And think about it. You got, whether you're in golf, you have a golf. Nowhere in no other, every sport has coaches. Tell me where a coach is in fishing. What, your buddy stands there and says, hey, I caught one on a green pumpkin worm? No, this is valuable stuff that you may waste. You may waste $1,000 in entry fees and never learn nothing, or you could do that $1,000 that you would have wasted, went with me on the water, and I sharpen you up to a next level. So it is expensive. But let's see. During down times, are you more likely to cover water with a confident bait or rotate techniques within one high percentage area? Yeah, probably more of rotating techniques or baits in a high percentage area is what I'm going to do. Covering water is kind of overrated. Like, you hear a lot. When I say overrated, like, there's not many, like, when you know where, and who was that said that? Daniel. I mean, that was an awesome question, because when people say, oh, I'm just covering water, yeah, I call baloney on that one. When you hear a lot of people say that, you can cover a lot of water when you hear us saying it, but you can't. Like, when you get in an area, most of us just hunker down and figure out how to catch them in that area, which it may be rotating baits, making the right angle. There's so much involved, whether it's making the right angle. I've seen people be all over top the winning fish and not making the right cast. And I'm like, looking at them like, you got $100,000 sitting there right at your boat. And I watch them go on, and I go right in there behind them and catch them. But anyways, let's see. Pickleville says, I'm down to be coach. Go to daviddudley.com and look it up there. Michael Minyard, hey, what's up? He's a big supporter of the channel. What tournament do you enjoy most this season? Probably Cherokee in Champlain. Probably because of smallmouth and they bite. C-Botch, congrats, buddy. Fishing, he's a big supporter. No, I've never fished Percy Priest. What's your go-to plastic for the Nico rig? I kind of throw a smorgasbord on that. Of course, if I'm around spotted bass, I'm going to use a trick worm or straight tail worm. And if I'm around largemouth, I'm using a Senko type bait. What weightless worm do you throw? I throw a lot of them. If you're asking about the wacky worm, I actually throw a lot of BPS brands. They're cheap. Can I come down from Michigan to be coach? Yep, of course you can. The Marshall deal is legit, Pickleville says. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys. Make sure, if you enjoy these things, and I know I keep saying, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, or whatever it may be. Most of you guys, I'm recognizing, as you can tell, I really do read a lot of my comments. I already know, I recognize a lot of your guys' names. Kirk says, before I go, I'm going to ask you this. Kirk wanted to know about the flogger setup that you saw I was using. Basically, the flogger, you hear people floating around a lot. They're like, oh, I laid on my belly looking down in the water this whole tournament. Yeah. I don't use it to find fish. I use the flogger to confirm maybe what my eyes might be seeing. I'm not looking for fish, but I use the flogger if I may see a light spot or a dark spot that looks good. I'll go down there and just put it in the water and be like, oh, that is a bed or it's not a bed. I'm really not looking for fish and laying down and puking my... I can spin around 3 times and puke my brains out. So my kids know that. They never had the daddy that could hold their arms and twirl them around, because I would have been puking on them as I was twirling them around. So, anyways, good question. And do you realize how much money you've made for FLW? It was like college for fishing. Yeah, I agree. Exactly. Don't Google here. All right, guys, I appreciate it. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we're going to get the quarter boy to do the outro.
Oh God.
I'm putting him on the spot again. We're getting the quarter boy to do the outro.
like
All right,
always.
so give him a tricked out outro, quarter boy. If any of y'all don't know who quarter boy is,
I'm not good.
Google him. Quarter boy, Lynchburg, Virginia. This man has a wonderful heart.
And not good at thinking what I should do.
All right. So here we go. Time's on. Let's get the quarter boy outro.
I'm gonna hit 2 fingers, not just 1, 2.
There you go. Do I hit where? Hidden string. Okay.